So we have one Canadian in the room, and now we have two. Except for he doesn't live in Canada anymore. He now lives in Arizona. He has, what, 3 kids? Yeah. Four. That's right. I know that. Hello. He has 4 kids. He has 3 that are bigger and 1 munchkin. And then Jeff is totally all about mindset, goal setting. He does a lot with sports. He does a lot with the whole mindset. He has, is your son still in high school?
No, he's on a mission.
He's on a mission. Is any, besides your littlest, is there any still in high school?
So Jovi is 14. She's a freshman, and Jamari is in 5th grade.
Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that. Okay, so all of his kids have been involved with sports, and he has also been involved with sports. And I think beyond that, though, he's always been about connecting with the whole mindset of not just you go out and play, like there's a whole mental connection with it all too. So his family has just always been a family that our family has always looked up to. So I've known Jeff since I should say he's known me since forever, my whole life. And our family, or my parents, my dad and his parents are friends. So Jeff's always been, their family's always been a part of ours. And years ago, when I was without doing SEINT, Jeff was working even on his whole mindset thing too. And I was just doing the fitness part of everything. And that's when he was introduced to myself as a whole mindset motivator type person. And then he has grown and his business, and he owns his own business outside of even what he does here. And he's just always had that mindset. So I'm going to let you add on to this so that it makes more sense. But we wanted Jeff to be able to come to you guys because he's always understood, and I've always valued the person that he was and is. And he's always understood what it takes to become successful and feel successful and feel like you're where you want to be and able to move your business forward even more. And so Savannah and I wanted to be able to help center everyone's mindset and also help you guys feel rewarded for earning the opportunity to be here too, because we think it's incredible with where you're at. And we want you to feel like you can take everything that you have within your business and now learn how to focus it within your business. And so that's where Jeff comes in, and we're super excited for this. So Jeff, you can add on to that to make it make a little bit more sense, but here's Jeff.
All right. Hey, thank you. So I am going to share some slides with you. So the downside of doing this virtually is once I do that, I disappear, but at least I can still see you guys. But I want to just take a step back and give a little bit of my backstory. Jocelyn, kind of talked about the family connection and whatnot. But when I graduated from university, I graduated with a major in entrepreneurship. It's always been something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be my own boss. I wanted to create my own companies, all those sort of things. And as soon as I graduated, I got a great job offer from a bank. And I didn't take it. And I didn't not take that because I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't take it because I was a cowboy and I just wanted to rodeo. And so I went and did my cowboy thing that I'd been doing for quite some time. But I was married, and then kind of life started getting real. And I thought, I don't know how long this wife of mine wants to just support me as I do my rodeo habit. And so I ended up, I don't know, probably 6 months later, going back to the bank, and they did still have that job offer for me. So I continued to rodeo, but I got into the banking industry. And then that whole time, there was a lot of things I was doing. The thing that I loved about the banking industry, I climbed the ladder really quick, and I ended up being a bank manager. And I was in a position where I did all the business lending. And what I loved about that is I got to spend a lot of time with entrepreneurs. And one day I was sitting in one of my clients' offices, and he was building homes. and he had a catalog on his desk for artificial stone veneer, the fake stone that you put on houses and whatnot. And we got talking, and I thought I could figure that out. And so in 2005, I quit the bank and decided to start making rocks. I went to Missouri, found someone there that would train me on how to do it. And is that someone from Missouri there? And so they taught me how to do it. And I remember sitting in the airport on the way home. I was sitting in the airport in Dallas thinking, this is so much easier than I ever imagined. This is going to be so easy. I'm going to go home. And one of my competitors had this one stone. It was called Dakota Brown was the color. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go home Monday. I'm going to start pouring rock. I'm going to make Dakota Brown, and we're just going to be off to the races. And that Monday we went in there and I did everything I thought was right. And the next day we went in and took them out of the molds. And, you know, I was ready. I was going to have that first stone that I ever made, and it was going to sit up there on my shelf. And it was, I don't have anything on my desk I could show you, but it was pink. It was utter failure. And that's when I learned right away that I had a really steep learning curve ahead of me. And you know, that company was an incredible opportunity for me. As an entrepreneur, learning everything from being an entrepreneur, running your own business, running a manufacturing company. You know, we're involved in the home building industry. So you know what the markets have done since 2005. Everything crashes in 2008 and we take a hit and we have to pivot. And so there's so many aspects of that business that were such incredible teaching tools for me. And during that time, I had a lot of opportunities to mentor and coach people. I also had some real estate. I owned a mini storage facility. I owned some apartments and stuff. And I had an opportunity to do a lot of coaching and mentoring with people. And one of my favorite things, and I did this for, I think it was about 4 years. I'd go over every year and work with the students at BYU Hawaii on their business plans. And then I was one of the judges in the business plan competition. And I just loved working with the students to create those business plans and all that. And one of the things I'd always talk to one of my partners, my CFO, about was I wanted to be a business coach. I wanted to get to the point where I could be a business coach. I could be a serious speaker, get speaking engagements, all those different things. But I had a lot of limiting beliefs that were holding me back. And so I am going to start sharing my screen, but I can, let me just get here to the right place. One of the things as we're going through this as well, don't be afraid to interrupt me if anyone has questions, thoughts, or anything as well that we can, I don't mind being interrupted. But one of the things was my limiting beliefs. And it was really, you know, I had even been taking some certifications. I had done different things that would mean that I could do some coaching and all that stuff. But I never felt like I could be taken serious. I never felt like I was really qualified to do that. And so that's what I want to talk a little bit about to begin with, is our beliefs. And, you know, when we look at our beliefs, they really control our behavior, whether it's our conscious or subconscious beliefs that we might not even know about. They have a real impact on all of our behavior. And so when we look at our beliefs, it's something that we feel of absolute certainty what something means, right? And when you're certain about something, you're going to do everything you can to make that come true, whether it's a right belief or a wrong belief, positive or negative. And if it's a negative belief, like I'm not qualified to be a business coach, you'll have a lot of reasons and excuses not to do it. Well, as we're growing this business, like I said, we went through a lot of ups and downs. In whatever it was, 5 years ago, 2016, I moved down here to Arizona from Alberta, and we were working on different things on growing the business. But because of the team I had put together, it was taking a lot less of my time on the hands-on stuff. And my business partner called me one day and he said, I've got someone I'd like you to meet. And he set up a meeting for me with one of his clients that he was working with as well. And I went and sat down with this guy, and he was a business coach, a very successful business coach. And I sat down with him and we talked about our backgrounds. And he had a very similar background to me. He had a manufacturing company that was in the home building industry, and he quit that and built an incredible coaching business. And as I told him my background and talked about some of my certifications and stuff, he just said to me, why aren't you doing it? You know, this is something you want to do, but you've got all these limiting beliefs holding you back. Why aren't you doing it? And that was, I think, the first time that I really felt like someone had given me the permission that, yeah, you can go ahead and do this. You can go be a business coach. And so that was the point that I decided that I was going to go do that. And I think, you know, the more clients I work with, this is one of the biggest thing that I work with people on, because we all have our limiting beliefs and they come from so many different places. And a lot of them, you know, I've got one client that one of her biggest limiting beliefs stems back from when she was a child. And so it's something that I like to talk a lot about, because it's something we have to understand and overcome. But I want to just continue on with the experience I had. So at this point, I started doing some more coaching, but I had also gone through a certification to become a certified mastermind facilitator. And so I was finally excited about taking this coaching business to another level. And I decided I was going to host a mastermind down here in Arizona. And I was excited about it because I prepared an incredible agenda, what I was going to teach, things we're going to go through. And it was really focused on helping entrepreneurs to get to the next level. And so I finally got it all together, got the date set and everything. And I kind of started to put it out there. And right away, I got my brother-in-law in Canada, 3 friends from down here, all were like, yeah, we're in, we want to be there. And they're the same friends and brother-in-law that if I would have said, hey, on Saturday, I'm opening up a lemonade stand, they would have been there. So they were just there to support me. But I was excited about it. And so I started pushing this thing. I was going to hold this event and I was so excited about it. And then the day finally came and registration closed. And those were the only 4 that I had registered. I had other people that had shown some interest, but nobody registered. And so there I was on that roller coaster again. All these limiting beliefs started playing their role again. And it was, you know, why am I doing this? Why do I think I can be a coach? Why do I think people are going to want to come learn from me? Do I cancel? Do I just shut this down and decide where I go from there? I decided not to. So I still had it. And there's all 5 of us. It was sad walking in there thinking, you know, I've put all this work in and I've got 4 friends that showed up. But you know what? It was awesome. We had an awesome mastermind and I really believe they got a lot out of it. But it really was something that really took me back and I started having all those limiting beliefs again. But for me, looking at it as a failure meant that I had to believe that I didn't add any value to these people. And, you know, I just thought to myself, wait, I know that I added a lot of value and it doesn't matter if there was 4 people here or if I would have filled the whole place. I know I was able to add a lot of value and I can continue to do this. And it's something with our limiting beliefs. If you tell yourself something over and over, whether it's something good or something bad, you're going to start believing it. You know, I mean, I've told my kids things over and over, and all of a sudden I'm starting to believe that I'm telling them the truth, right? And so as we look at these things, we've got to be able to understand the importance of our self-talk and, you know, all of those different things that come into play. And because when we can become certain about something, if it's certain about our limitations, we've got some challenges ahead of us. But if it's certainty about something that we can do, it really does open up what we can accomplish. And so from there, I was able to, you know, take what I was doing and really say, okay, this wasn't a successful event for the number of people that showed up, but I know I can still do something with this, and I know I can add value, and I know I can help entrepreneurs build their businesses, do all those things. And so as I was working on my own limiting beliefs, I started looking at some of the things that were starting to happen. The first time that I had a customer pay me $4,000 to work with me for 12 weeks, that changed all my limiting beliefs around that. The first time I had someone pay me $2,500 to sit down for an hour and work with me, completely changed my limiting beliefs around that. On the speaking part of it, that started slowly, and it was something that I really wanted to do, but it started out with a conference that was hosted in the Czech Republic. And then just in this last little bit, you look at this list. Last week, I spoke to a football team in Mesa. Yesterday, I spoke at a summit in the UK. Today, I'm speaking with you guys. Tomorrow, I'm in Scottsdale. Next week, I'm doing an athletic conference. I think that's in Florida. And, I've got a ton of these things that the momentum is finally starting to pick up. And so what does this have to do with you guys? Well, what I want to do today is help you guys realize the potential that you guys have in this business, what you're doing. And I actually, at one point when I was putting these slides together, I put on here that I want you to start questioning your beliefs. But I changed that. I said, I want you to start questioning some of your beliefs, because obviously I don't want you questioning all your beliefs. And what I want to do is help you put together the tools to get you there. And so I had an opportunity to get on a call with Savannah and Jocelyn a few days ago, and they got me excited about what you all are doing. I guess you guys can't see me. I'm going through this. Okay, artist 2 rank, artist 3 rank. What do I have to do to get to artist 7? And I'm looking at all this and figuring out, and I'm like, there's so much potential in this company. This is exciting stuff. And there's so much that can come together here. And so that's what I want to do today is, well, I'll tell you what, yesterday, as I was putting some of these things together, I was like, okay, right now, I think I'm probably at about 4 hours of content. I should text these ladies and see how long they want me to talk. And so when Jocelyn texted me back and said a half hour is good, I thought, okay, we're not going to spend the whole time doing this. No, I'm not going 4 hours. I won't do that to you guys. But there is a lot of stuff that I would love to share with you. And I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities to do that in the future. We've talked about some things that we can do, because there's really a lot of different paths we can go to break things down that I do want to share with you guys, but we'll worry about that at another time. What I want to do is I want to first start out talking about the momentum cycle a little bit, and then we're going to get into a goal setting process and how that impacts you. And so with this momentum cycle, I'm not going to go through everything about it. That website at the bottom, jeffheggie.com/momentum, it'll actually give you access for free to a 3-video series that goes into a lot more detail. But what I want to do is just kind of talk about the momentum cycle and how it builds upon itself, because there's so many things that it builds upon itself, from the potential to the action, the results, and the belief and certainty. The belief and certainty, I also like to call it confidence. But it's a cycle. And as we work on this, it grows on each other. And so the first part is looking at potential. And I want you to put yourself in the situation of all of these situations. But first of all, just looking at potential, what's the potential of a human being, right? And we look at all the stories like Roger Bannister. No one can run the mile in under 4 minutes. As soon as he did that in 1965, he tore down a wall that was blocking everyone's mental capacity on the possibility that it can be done. And as soon as he did that, it was 46 days later that John Landy did the same thing. And I wrote an article about this one time, and so I looked it up and see how many people have done it since then. And I don't remember what it was, but it was an impossible thing that once it was done, people realized it could happen. And there's another guy, and I'm sure I butcher his name, but it's Eliud Chipcode. He's a marathon runner, And he was the first one to ever run a marathon under 2 hours. And that was, I think it was in October of 2019, I believe. I don't know if anyone's done it since, but once that barrier has been broken, that's when you're going to see things happening more and more. And so I just want you to kind of put that in your own perspective. What are the barriers that are holding you back? What are the limiting beliefs that you have on your business, on your life, that are holding you back, that once you can figure out how to break through those, you're going to be able to just build on those. So the next part is in the diagram is taking the action. Now, with this, you look at the potential, you take action on what you've got, and that's going to get you the results. But one of the things we'll get into later at the end of the presentation is that action has to be the proper action, because some people will just say, you know what, you've just got to take massive action. You've got to do things and it's going to get you ahead. But a story that I like to share. So I can see you guys, but it's really small. Have any of you ever been in 4-H? Show of hands. I figured you would.
We got two. We got two and friends. 3.
Did you guys do highway cleanup?
Yes.
All right. So if any of you don't know what highway cleanup, when I was 10 years old, I was in 4-H and we were doing highway cleanup. And all it was is we would have a section of a highway that we'd have to go pick up all the garbage. Well, I remember we went out to this section of highway. Our leaders dropped us off and we had, I don't know what it was. It seemed like 50 miles, but it was probably a mile. And we did an incredible job. But when we got done, the problem was they took us to the wrong place. So we had done all this massive action. We had done all this stuff, but the reality is we hadn't even started our job. And so that's part of the importance of taking the right action. And that's, like I said, that's something we're going to talk about a little bit later. But when we take our potential, we take the right action and we start getting results from it. And when those results are positive, that's when we increase our belief and certainty. And that's when our confidence goes up and then it just cycles. So what I'm going to do, the next slide, what I want to talk about is getting results and how that increases our confidence, belief, and certainty. And I'm hoping someone that is there can help us understand what this slide is. And let me get to it. Sorry, I went back. Jocelyn, can you tell me about this slide?
Oh, bless.
I'm gonna cry. I can't tell you this. I'll cry. This, I literally would crack up. I probably can't do this. Oh. This is the story of a boy right there who has worked his tail off his whole entire life. And then 2 years ago, he went to this roping finals, and him and his partner won the whole thing, and they won $47,000. And yeah, each. And that kid, I mean, my dad is this one, and I only know so many people in my life that is as amazing as him, and my brother is following in his footsteps, but my brother is willing to bend over backwards for people and bend over backwards for every ounce of work he puts into everything.
Yeah. And so like she said, you know, that's putting in the work and doing these things, and he got these results. And so where was his confidence and where was his belief and certainty after leaving this rodeo?
Dude, that kid couldn't have smiled bigger. I mean, he couldn't have jumped more. He couldn't have smiled any bigger. The second he roped that steer, he was, I mean, the smile on his face was priceless. Is that good?
No, that's awesome. And yeah, it's an incredible story and awesome results. And so that's how we look at this. You know, he put in all the massive action, he put in all the hard work, he gets those results, and his belief and certainty in his abilities just continues to grow, right? When you have that belief and certainty, you tap into more of your potential, you take more action, more results, and it can continue on that cycle. Now, on the downside, this cycle can go in reverse as well. And so the important part about understanding the momentum cycle is being able to recognize these things so that, and you know, we might have one part of our life that it's all cycling in the right direction, where another part of our life is spiraling downward. And so what we've got to be able to do is take a look at it and say, you know what, I feel stuck in this area right now. What is the issue? Is it the potential? No, I know I've got the potential. Is it the actions? Is it the results? Is it the belief and certainty or confidence? And what is it that I can do to get back in this cycle in the proper way? And that's something that I actually train a lot deeper on, but I wanted to quickly go through that just to be able to show it to you and let you have a bit of an understanding as we go into the next part. So again, this next part is where we're going to talk about more of the goals and how that ties into the momentum cycle and how we do this. And I'm not going to keep you here for 4 hours. So if you want, one, if you want the worksheets, or two, if you want to go through it in more detail, you can get it at jeffheggie.com/goals. But what I want to do, I mean, so I want to talk about a few different things here. It's a lot less stressful talking to you guys about this than it was the last time I made a presentation on this, because the last time I did this, I did it with a young women's group, and my wife was one of the leaders, and she was at the back, and she said, if you see me saying cut and give them the throat action, it means you're too boring. So I'm hoping that I don't see Savannah or Jocelyn giving me the cut sign. But you know what? I'm actually going to pull something out here, and I'm going to take it off my screen share for a moment. So one of the things in that goal setting program that I have that I'm not going to go through today, but it's a fun exercise. It's an exercise that has everyone heard of? Do you guys know who Mark Victor Hansen is? Chicken Soup for the Soul guy. Mm-hmm. I was reading one of his books, and he had this 101 goals exercise, and I did it in February of 2004, and I've still got all my goals. And it's really cool to be able to go through that and see, you know, how many I've achieved, how many I still have to go. And you know, this was something in 2004, and one of them I just achieved last year. It was the first time I've ever bought a street bike, but since 2004 I've wanted one. But it's a really cool exercise, and so if you want to go through that, it's a lot more detail in there if you want to go to that. But the cool thing about that is when I went to do this with this other group, I've got one, I just need March 31st, 2004. I'd done it with a young men's group up in Canada, and I have some of their goals. And so I text one of the kids, I guess he's not a kid anymore, he's got a family and everything. And I text him all his goals, and I said, how many of these have you achieved? And the only one he hadn't achieved yet was taking his family to Europe. And all the other ones on his list he had achieved. And I'm going to get in a little bit about achieving goals and how important it is to set goals. But the fact that he set those goals when he was a high school kid and just kind of put them out there that these are the things he wanted to accomplish really had an impact on whether or not he was going to accomplish them. And so that's what I want to talk about. I'm going to go back to my screen share. So does everyone have pen and papers with them?
Yes.
Because I do want to take some time to go through this process. This is a process that if you want to really get serious about it and do it, because this is something, you know, if you do it on my website, it's really doing it for your entire life. You can do it taking a look at just your business, your whole life, everything, and you can spend a lot of time on it. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it with you guys, but I do want to go through the process. And part of the process of what I want you to understand is really understanding, to begin with, where you are right now. What is the truth of where you are right now, your reality? And so in the workbook, it has these different areas where you can really rate yourself where you are right now. And so just to yourself, think about this right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you in your business and career? Where are you in with your family and friends? Where are you with your finances? If I'm going too fast, sorry, but health and fitness, where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Spirituality and personal development. And then what I have you do is go through there and put them on that wheel so you can kind of understand where you are and where you're out of balance. All right. And the other part in there is, as you look at that, let's look at business and career. For example, let's say you put yourself at a 7. What does a 10 look like? What does it take to get to a 10? I can share all these with you, Jocelyn, if you want.
Thank you.
If you want me to send these out after.
Yeah.
And so I want you to just spend a couple minutes looking at that. One, figure it out where you are 1 to 10 on each of those areas. And then really figure out, what does a 10 look like?
This is hard because I feel like I want to be hard on myself.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, because when it comes to one of them, it's like, well, I feel like I'm failing at this, so I'm a 3. Like, how do you know how hard to be on yourself?
You know what? I mean, you don't have to be hard on yourself, but be honest with yourself, because it's just between yourself, you and yourself. And it's just giving you a baseline of where you're at and what you need to do to improve that. And because a lot of things too is the reason I like to put it on this wheel is, if everything is right around a 6, 7, 8, and then health and fitness is at a 3, when you connect all those dots, it looks like a flat tire. And so it's like, okay, what do I need to do to bring health and fitness? And reality is, are you going to have all of those at a 10? No. But if you can really try to balance that out so that you're satisfied with them, it's going to make a big difference. And the other part that it does as we go into the next steps on what are your goals? Well, maybe you wouldn't normally have a goal in the area of one of these, but if you mark yourself a 3, I guess maybe it should be an area you have a goal. Am I good to move on, or do you want some more time?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now what this does is this just gives you a snapshot of where you are right now, just looking at your current truth, right? What I want you to do is really figure out what the perfect future looks like. So I want you to picture yourself 1 year from today, and with the understanding that you have just had the best year of your life. You've had the best year of your life financially, with your family and friends, business, spiritual, whatever. You've just had the absolute best year of your life. And so what I want you to do is write down what happened that made that the best year of your life. What are the things that happened throughout that year in your business and career that made it such a perfect year? What happened with your family and friends that made it so good? What changed in your finances? Health and fitness, spirituality, personal development. And this is the same process you can go through if you want to just specifically look at what you're doing with your business right now. And maybe it's, you know what, 1 year from now, I'm artist 7. And what are the things in your business that made that the best year of your life? And what we're going to do from that is look at those things that you're saying, okay, this is what happened. This is what made it the best year of my life. Now, that's how I'm going to create my goals, because I want this next year to be the best year of my life. And so what was it that happened in your business and career that made it the best year of your life? And there's a goal you can set. All right. And when we set goals, you've probably heard of SMART goals before. They're specific, they're measurable, they're attainable, they're realistic, and there's a time frame to them. So start looking at those, what you were writing down, saying it was the best year of your life. And how can you convert those into goals that you're going to want to accomplish over the next year? Does anyone want to share any examples?
Of what our perfect year looks like.
Yeah. You don't have to.
I can do it. I put, for me to have my perfect goal or year, I put my business moving forward without having to babysit it. Asking the Lord daily with what He wants for me in order for me to grow my business and my family and all that. Artist 7 takes over and the team wants to grow versus me feeling like I'm forcing it to grow. Gaining this one's stupid. But in the fitness one, gaining weight, building 10 pounds of muscle. So yeah, there's one.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you. No, thanks for sharing that. And so on that, so for example, the one that you said about Artist 7 and it flowing better.
Have the team want to grow instead of me forcing it.
Okay. So how do you convert that into a goal that's specific, measurable?
Well, it takes lots of work. I think this is where I truly struggle, is like how, when you know that you see your goals, but yet you're trying to get other people to create a goal. That's where I feel like I'm mentally stuck, because I don't know how to make them. So I feel like I'm trying to be like pointing a gun at their back that says move forward or else, and I
Right.
don't. Yeah. So that's where you come in.
Right. Right. No, that's great. And one of the things that we're going to get into in a little bit is the actions. And so that's where that's going to help with your team and those sort of things, is the actions that you need to take to make these things happen. And so one of the important things to do for each of these goals is to understand your purpose behind it, or as Simon Sinek would say, understand your why. Because when you set big goals for yourself, and you're always going to have the bad days, you're always going to have the days that things aren't going well, that you don't want to work on it. But when you can understand at a deeper level what your real purpose behind each of these goals is and what the real why is, that's what's going to help push you through. That's going to help you get through the bad days and get through the hard times. And so what I want to do is talk about that. And Jocelyn, can I use you as a guinea pig again?
Oh yeah, totally. You like it.
All right. So what the next step in this is to figure out for each of your goals. And this is actually a process that takes some time, but we'll go through it on we're going to use Jocelyn to give an example. And, I'll get to start with, for myself, the first time I ever went through this process, I always thought I understood my why. And I did it through the process of, why do you want to be successful? And I always looked at it as, I wanted to be able to obviously be supportive for my family, but I wanted to create opportunities and experiences for my family. And what that does is that goes back to when I'm going to throw this out and really age myself. In 1984, my family went on a trip. We went from Alberta, we drove all the way down to Disneyland, to Tijuana, back up the coast. And it was really a trip of a lifetime for us kids. And it was something that my parents had just said, you know what, we're going to do everything you guys want to do. I got in a helicopter, flew into the crater of Mount St. Helens. I was in the front seat with a glass floor. Anything that we wanted to do on that trip, they allowed us to do. And it's always been a memorable experience. And that's something that I always felt that was my why. I wanted to create experiences for my family. But when I went through this process, I realized the things that I was really pushing for, there is a lot deeper meaning. So Jocelyn, what's one of the goals that we can use as an example here that you want to focus on right now?
Are we talking overall?
No, just pick one of your goals, and we're going to dig into it.
Focus. Well, we can go to the team one, since we all have that in common-ish, probably, or we're all.
Okay.
That might be easier.
So I'll explain it before we get into it. What we're going to do is, I'm going to ask you why you want to achieve that, and we're going to do that 7 times. And I've worked with a lot of people on this, and I've sent them home to do it on their own, and they'll come back and they'll be like, that's such a powerful process, as I really dug into it. And by the time I got 5 levels deep, I really figured out my why. I was like, no, that's not how this works. You got to keep going. What's that?
Are you gonna make me cry?
I'm probably gonna try, yeah. So tell me the goal again.
The goal was for me to have my artists want to, the team wants to grow versus me force. So I don't feel like I'm forcing them to grow.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just gonna take notes as we're doing this.
They say they want to even right now, but their actions aren't speaking as loud as their words. Not all, just so we're clear.
She's not talking about any of you in the room. Okay, so you want to be able to get the artists to want to grow rather than feel like you're forcing them. Yeah. So tell me why you want to achieve that goal.
There's a selfish reason, and then there's a desire for them. One is one of my goals where it says for my business to be pushing forward, so I don't have to babysit it. With having a team, my business can push forward without babysitting it because we create a momentum, and their momentum grows with my momentum. And you just see an influx of income coming through all of us, and it's just pushing all of us forward. And I make more money as well. And then there's the side of
Okay,
it.
wait, let's just wait there for this one right now.
Okay.
Let's even just stop at to make more money.
Okay, make more money.
Okay. So why?
Why do
Why
I
do you
want
want
to?
to make more money? Yeah.
Well, because I want to have a house in Texas and in Utah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good. Why?
Oh my hell.
Why do you want to have a house in Texas and in Utah?
Because I want to have the best of what I feel are the best of both worlds.
Which is what?
Which is creating the family environment that my family. I don't like you.
You're the one that asked me to come.
Well, if I would have known you're doing this to me. Because I know that what our family created in Texas, and I know what our family can have in Utah that we couldn't have in Texas. So being able to create it in both places creates more love in my family.
Okay. So being able to create that environment in both places and those experience and love for your family.
Yeah.
Is a pretty deep why, but why do you want that?
Because when I can envision our memories, it makes me find my soul even deeper than just the everyday living and breathing. I just feel like that's my purpose. I feel like my purpose here is to create a space within my family that they're going to be able to look back and be like, I have the best life.
That's awesome. Similar to what I was saying with my experience as a child, knowing that's what I want to recreate. So that's awesome. So being able to create, that, create what you look back and can appreciate and recreating that for your family. Why?
Because as an adult, I see the bits and pieces that I remember from my childhood that I might have not saw so much value in as a kid, but now as an adult, I can see why my parents did the things they did, and now I am who I am because of it.
So by recreating some of these things and bringing those values back, you can see that it can create a good life and good foundation for your children.
Yeah.
And why is that important to you?
Because they need to be able to create a family as good as ours.
That's a good one. Why?
Because then they need to create a family as good as that one. Because the deeper I can root my family, the stronger our roots will be, and the better of the opportunities we will all have to have the life opportunities that we all want from generations to come.
Okay. Good job.
That was hard.
It is. And especially when you go through each one. But now you look at that, you want your artists to grow rather than being forced, so that you can create a family as good as what you had, and they can continue to have the opportunities for generations to come. Now, is there more meaning behind that goal than just saying you want to make more money?
Yeah. But
So do you,
you took it down 7 times, then got like you get to the root of it. It seems so selfish to say, I want to make more money. But then when you really break it down that deep, it makes sense why you want that. But
yeah,
you can't get lost in the mix of it either.
Exactly. You looked at it from the beginning saying, there's selfish reasons. And you know what? It's okay to be selfish saying you want generations to come to have what you had growing up. So it's a powerful exercise, and it's not an easy exercise, especially when you're put on the spot in front of everybody, right? But it is something that's very powerful, and I encourage each of you to do it for every one of your goals, because on the days that Jocelyn's having a rough day and she doesn't want to be working on her business, and she looks at this why, that can be pretty motivating to keep you going, right?
Did you write down my why?
I did. I was trying to do it really fast, so I don't even know if I can read my own writing, but yes, I did.
Okay, give those back to me.
All right, I'll put those back for you for sure. So yeah, that's this is a process. I can't remember who he said it originated with, but I learned it from Dean Graziosi, and it's been one of the most powerful exercises I've done for myself, and I've done it with almost all of my clients, and it's been really powerful to see people as they realize that they can set goals and have a lot deeper purpose and why behind it than just, I want to make more money. And it gives them a lot of direction and purpose that way. So yeah, thanks for letting me pick on you, Jocelyn. All right. So now what I want to do is talk about the actions, because, we can go through this whole process, and I'm going to talk about the process of just the fact that you set goals and how that can impact, but you can go through the process, and how many people set New Year's resolutions and by February they've already given up on them, right? It's because a lot of times they never put the actions into place. So one of the things I do, I've got 3 different podcasts, and on one of my podcasts, it's a daily podcast, and every Monday what I do is I say, what are you going to achieve this week, so that on Friday you can look back and say it's been a successful week, but also you're closer to your bigger goals. And the reason I do that is what I want you to do is really look at those things that you established as where you want to be in a year, and say, okay, what do I need to do if I'm going to be able to achieve that in the next year? And then start reverse engineering it and say, okay, if these are the things I need to do to get there in a year, what do I have to do month by month? And then, like I do it on my podcast, what do you have to do each week, so throughout that month you can hit those targets? And by tracking it that way and looking at it and saying, okay, you know what, by Friday I was supposed to do this, this, and this, and I didn't do it. Does that mean I have to make something up? Do I have to do something different? Or does it just delay things? Or it at least gives you some direction on how you're going to get there and everything that's happening with it. But it's really important to really put these things in place so that you're taking action and not just saying, okay, I've got my goals, I hope that it happens. Before I started my own company, I think I told you guys I was at the bank. One of the things we did as managers is we had our annual goal setting every year. But the way that it worked was our regional office would come to us and say, here's what you have to achieve this year. Now create your goals on how you're going to do it. And it was really difficult because it really didn't feel like they were our own goals. It felt like it was just a exercise to try to make us feel like it was our own goals. And we didn't really get a say in what we were trying to achieve. And it really made it difficult to say, okay, if that's our goal that we're going to make, say in mortgages, how are we going to get there? Well, we don't know, because that's not even a number that we think we can hit. And so it made it really difficult. But you've got to look at what you are trying to achieve in the next year, and then break it down month by month, and then you can break it down from there so that you know what actions you're going to take. Now, one of the things that, when I was talking about limiting beliefs, one of the things you need to do is get past those roadblocks, because a lot of times it's, yeah, I would love to be an artist 7 by next year, but the reality is I don't think I can do it. Well, it's going to be really hard to get there if you can't get your mind wrapped around the fact that, yeah, it is possible. And that's why I wanted you to look at things like Roger Bannister, that you really can do those things. And, there's so many things that we think we can't do. Well, I'll give you an example. I was at a conference in Florida a few weeks ago. Savannah was there. Jocelyn was watching us. But one of the people that I listened to was Myron Golden. And one of his things that he did in there, he had some of his students in there. And I think a lot of people in that room had a real mind shift over some of the things he said, because I didn't know at the time, but all these guys that were sitting around me were his students. And he started talking about the beliefs of how much money you can make. And so he said, I want anyone in this room that has had $100,000 day, or no, it was $100,000 month, to stand up. And all these guys that were sitting around me stood up, and they were all, probably mid-20s, early 30s. And he says, okay, everyone sit down that hasn't had $100,000 week. And so a couple of them sat down, and all these guys are signing up. I'm like, these guys all made $100,000 in a week. Okay, how many have had $100,000 day? And I think there is 2 or 3 that stayed. No, I think there's 3 that stayed up. And it was, everyone in the room was just like, holy cow, how do you wrap your mind around that? You had $100,000 day. And then he says, how many of you have had $1 million day? And there's 2 of them. One of them had that 2 times. And it's, you think of things like that and think, that's impossible. How do you do that? But it's a matter of figuring out the systems that are going to help you to get there. It's figuring out what you have to do. What are the actions you have to take to get there? And, let's say you want to be artist 7. Well, how do you do that? Savannah's there. She knows how to do it, right? We can work with what's already happened and learn the things that we need to do so we can get there. And then it's a matter of taking the actions that are going to make it happen. Okay. So what I want to talk about is you've got to take you've got to have those goals. You've got to understand your why. You've got to take the actions. But I think an important part that you've got to add into this is what I call the success habits. So again, I'm not going to go through all of this. One of the things I'm going to talk about is my mindset questions. And you can get the full list of the ones that I use at jeffheggie.com/mindset. It's at the bottom of the screen there. But I'm going to talk about a few things. Actually, I'm going to take it off screen share for a bit. So I'm sure everyone is going to say they've been able to have an experience like this before. You may not have understand the terminology or anything, but just to share a story with you, when we moved down here to Arizona, my daughter at the time, she would have been 16 or she would have been 17. She had her own car. She'd been playing basketball for Team Alberta out at nationals. We came home. She had to head down to start school. I was packing the U-Haul and stuff. So they took off, and she got into Montana, about an hour into Montana. We lived just 20 minutes north of the border. And being a kid, her dash is full of pictures and stuff. She doesn't know there's all those things on her dash, or they mean something. Like if they get in the red zone, it's bad. And so the one that was there's pictures over the oil gauge and stuff. Well, she gets an hour into Montana and blows her engine. I don't know if it was out of oil or I don't know if she even, but anyways, so I had to go down there, towed her car back to Canada. She drove down with my wife. So when we got down here, I bought her a new car. I bought her this little, has anyone ever heard of a Mitsubishi Spider? It's a little convertible car. I had never heard of one before. I had never seen one in my life. So I buy her this car, and all of a sudden I see this car everywhere, right? Well, why does that happen? Why when you buy a new outfit, all of a sudden you start seeing other people with the same outfit? Why when you're in a crowded room that it's loud, you hear your name when someone calls you? We've got what's called our reticular activating system. And what that is, it's like a filter. And what it does is it filters the things that are important to us. And, there's so many things that we're bombarded with every single day, from sounds to feelings to so many things that are going on around us all the time, that it's not possible for us to consciously pay attention to everything. But what our reticular activating system, or our RAS, does is helps us to recognize the things that are important to us. It's funny because does anyone know who Nick Santonastasso is? He's you would have seen him. So he's an amazing guy. He was born with no legs and one arm. And I had him on my podcast this week, and he's really amazing. And he was talking about the RAS. And this is something I teach about all the time. And, I think one of my biggest fans of all my podcasts and everything is my mom. She listens to everything, which is awesome. But I let her listen to this interview with Nick before it went live. And I don't know how many times she's heard me talk about the RAS, but she thought Nick was the first one that ever introduced it to her. And she was talking about that. She says, I was reading this thing, and it was talking about, noticing things in your life that are important to you. And it told me to pick out a shape. And so she just picked out a heart. And she says, it's crazy, because all of a sudden I started noticing hearts everywhere. And so that's what it is. It's your RAS helps you to pick out things that you've told yourself that are important to you. And so the reason I tell you that is because there's things you can do once you set your goals to help your brain and your RAS to understand these are important to you. One, in that exercise I was telling you about, the writing out 101 goals, that's one of the things they talk about in their book that I got that from, was just by writing them out, you're going to start knocking some of those off, because you've clued in that these are things you want to achieve. And when things happen, you're going to recognize ways that you can achieve those. But what I look at doing with the clients I work with is putting success habits in place that you do on a daily basis. And so just as an example, this is something I do every morning, is I get up and the first thing I do is I write out my top goals. And the reason I do that is it's telling my RAS that these are important to me. And so when things happen in my life that can impact those goals, that can help me achieve those goals, they're going to stand out to me. I'm going to recognize them. So whether it's you're writing them out every day, whether it's you've got them posted on your mirror or whatever it is, just the fact that you're reviewing them on a daily basis is going to help you to recognize the opportunities on how you're going to achieve those. The other thing I do is my mindset questions, and that's what that link was for. And I'm not going to go through all of them, but I think what the most important question I have on there is what are you going to do today to step outside of your comfort zone? So think of the last time you had to do something that was out of your comfort zone, like going through the 7 levels deep exercise in front of everyone. And as you do that, as you go through a process of being out of your comfort zone, once you've done that, the next time you have to do that same thing, it's easier, right? So if you're looking for opportunities to step out of your comfort zone every single day, pretty soon your comfort zone is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and your confidence is growing more and more. I mean, I know do you all do Instagram, Facebook lives, all those sort of things. The first time you did it, it was probably uncomfortable, right? And now it's probably like just easy, nothing to it. But those sort of things, when you can step out of your comfort zone and do those things on a regular basis, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. And so that's what I talk about, is putting those success habits in place. There's an author called, his name's Jeff Olson, that he says, when he's talking about success habits, they're the easy things to do. Like, it's really easy for me to get up and write out my goals, go through my mindset questions. So they're the easy things to do. And there's a lot of benefit to it, but they're also easy not to do. So it's just a matter of disciplining yourself and understanding why you should do them on a consistent basis. Does that make sense? All right. So I had about 6 more hours I want to talk to you guys about and go deeper into some of this. But that's actually where I'm going to end it for now. I'm going to screen share for a minute, because I do want to share something with you. For any of you that are interested, those are my social media links. Those are also the couple websites that I'd put in. You can access all 3 of my podcasts through that other link. But most important, my email's at the bottom there. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out at any time. And I'll send these slides out for anyone that wants them as well. But does anyone have any questions that I can help with?
Super solid chance. Like, when it comes to stories that we tell ourselves, or other than like our awareness, you know.
Sorry, I can't hear.
When it comes to stories that we tell ourselves surrounding our limiting beliefs. Come up here and yell. When it comes to stories that we tell ourselves surrounding our limiting beliefs, other than our awareness, is there a way, like I definitely am going through this right now, where I have the awareness to know when I'm telling myself stories, and then I have to like zap them out of my brain. Do you have like an exercise that is helpful for that?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's actually a great question, because the conversations we have are really a series of questions and answers we're always asking ourselves, right? You might have just said, is that true? Well, yeah, you just asked your question. You're always asking and answering questions in your mind. And really, to change some of those limiting beliefs is to change the questions you're asking on a regular basis. And biggest thing about that is to really figure out what the habitual questions are that you ask yourself and make those changes. And one thing, like you said, you're already doing, is recognizing that. And when you start having those thoughts, is interrupting that and making that change. Because like I had said, is you say those things to yourself over and over enough that you start believing it, whether it's true or not. And so when you can start recognizing it, interrupting that, and change that conversation you're having in your head, the more you do that, the more you can start overcoming that. But one of the exercises, like I've got, it's called the Confident Athlete Program, that I work with athletes on changing their conversations in their head. And actually, Savannah's probably got one of these too. This was at the conference we were at. It's a bracelet, and on it, it says, okay, this shows my age too. I got to get the glasses up. It says, stop, snap, and switch. And before I got this, what I used to teach the athletes is just to wear an elastic band. And when they recognized they were having one of those negative thoughts or having those limiting beliefs, just to snap it, just so they recognize it. With my basketball team, what I would do is even just say, you've just got to do something physical. Maybe it's you have a negative thought about what you're doing or something, touch your left shoulder. Anything that can bring attention to it, and you can physically make that change and change that thought pattern. When I was coaching my daughter, I had next written on the toe of her shoe. So when she missed a shot and she dropped her head and she was pouting about it or something, she'd see next and be like, okay, I got to snap out of that. And so that's one of the biggest things. The biggest thing, what you said you already have done, is recognized it. And so it's a matter of understanding when you start having that self-talk, that you recognize that, interrupt it, and change that conversation. Does that help?
Yeah.
Anybody else? You know you want to. I just did 7 freaking things. Somebody step up to the plate. So,
and go ahead.
So leaving here today, when, because we are these mentors, these motivators for our girls as well. Like, what do you feel that there's something that we can do to hit their mindset? Because we are all going to go home spiritually fed from this, and we're going to have this momentum, and they're going to be, down here in their momentum space bubble. So what advice would you have for us to help carry on our momentum that we've even gathered just from you to our girls to lift them up?
One of the things, I think one of the biggest things an entrepreneur needs, and you're all entrepreneurs and all those working under you are entrepreneurs, is hope. I think hope is one of the biggest assets an entrepreneur has. I had one of my mentors is he always, like, sometimes I'd just say, I need a pep talk. So I'd go talk to him, because he always would fill me with so much hope that, even when through COVID, my manufacturing business was failing and things were falling apart, I could go to him and I felt like I was king of the world. And so I think that's one of the biggest things in your roles as leaders and mentors, is to instill that hope within your team. The hope that not only can they do these things, but they're going to do them. That, you're not going to, if you don't have a direction, if you haven't set any goals, if you don't have that direction you're trying to get to, you're not going to get there. There's a old book called The Strangest Secret by Earl Nightingale, and he talks about goals as, if you put a ship out into the harbor without a rudder, without a captain, without anything, and just launch it out into the harbor, it's not going to get to its destination. But if you put a ship out with a rudder, with a captain, with a map and everything, 99 out of 100 times it's going to get there, right? And that's, I was frozen. Am I back?
Your voice is back, but not your face.
There you are.
Oh, that's okay.
Did the ship make it?
Okay, so am I good now? Can you hear me?
No. Oh, wow.
You're not going to hear the
I'm
punchline.
mind-blowing wet. Okay, we can hear you right now.
Okay. So what I was saying is, you put a ship out in the harbor with no captain, no rudder, everything, it's not going to get where it's going. But you put a ship out in the harbor with a captain, with a rudder, with a destination, a map and everything, 99 times out of 100, it's going to get there. And so that's the importance of setting your goals, setting your targets, but then also understanding what are the actions I need to take to get there. And so I think as leaders and mentors, that's one of the most important things you need to do, is really help them to understand the things they need to do to get to where they're trying to go, but to do it and have the hope and belief in themselves that it's possible.
Sweet, thank you.
You bet.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That was awesome.
All righty.
You're awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you guys. And you know,
We'll talk to you soon.
I'll send out the slides. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.